The comment window. On the morning the words appeared, I was counting coins in my pocket and pretending the cafeteria smelled like nothing. The school called itself Meridian Academy, a city-ranked magnet where the hallways were clean enough to reflect your shame. I was the scholarship kid from the edge of Harbor District, the kind of student teachers praised for grit the way people praise a stray for surviving winter. I had survived on water and salt packets for 2 days, saving my meal credits for my mother's medicine. And I told myself hunger was a skill. If you practiced it long enough, it would stop hurting. It did not stop hurting. When the lunch bell rang, the line curled past the steamed rice window, past the grill station, where chicken thighs sizzled in glossy sauce, past students with fresh haircuts and fresh laughs. Their trays looked like small celebrations. My tray was empty because I hadn't lifted it yet. I waited until the end, when the workers usually cared less, and I slid my card through the reader with the smallest possible request. 2 buns, I said. Just buns. The woman serving raised her eyebrows. Only buns, honey? Behind me, someone snickered. Someone else muttered something about diets and poor people like they were synonyms. I smiled with my lips only, the way you do when you need your face to stay neutral so your insides can keep screaming. I'm cutting, I lied. She set 2 pale buns on a plate. They steamed gently, soft and plain, the kind of food you can tell yourself is enough if you don't inhale while you eat. I lifted the plate, turning away from the counter, and collided with a shoulder that didn't move. My buns slid off the plate and hit the tile with a wet, humiliating slap. "Watch it," a girl said. I looked up into the kind of beauty that made other people change their posture. She had a winter white blazer draped over her shoulders, like she'd been born wearing expensive fabric. Her hair was dark and glossy, tied with a ribbon so perfectly placed it looked like a brand logo. Her eyes, however, were not the soft kind that belonged with ribbons. Her eyes were a blade. Shenro. Everyone at Meridian knew her name, even the students who pretended not to. She was the daughter of Rowe Industries, sponsor of the athletics wing, donor of scholarships that never seemed to reach neighborhoods like mine. She fought in the school's sanctioned kickboxing club, and she walked like she owned the floor. My throat tightened. "I paid for those," I said, pointing at my buns on the tile like they were evidence in court. Shen's gaze dropped to the buns. Then she looked back at me with a strange intensity, as if she was calculating my weight from my collarbones. "You look like a coat rack," she said flatly. "Gross." I blinked, unsure whether to be offended or relieved that she hadn't started with something worse. "Thanks," I said automatically, because sarcasm is a shield when you don't have fists. And then the air in front of my face flickered. A line of text, bright as neon, slid across my vision as if someone had written on the inside of my skull. Episode 1. The White Lotus heroine meets the evil Hyress. I froze so hard my shoulders locked. More text followed, stacking like chat bubbles over the cafeteria crowd. "Here comes the jealous villainess. She's gonna slap the heroine, I bet. Poor girl. She hasn't eaten in days. Male lead will save her in 3.2. This is the juiciest love triangle arc." The words hovered, shimmering, ignoring the laws of physics and the fact that I was standing in a real cafeteria with real tile under my shoes. I swallowed, dry. Maybe hunger had finally made my brain short-circuit. Maybe the smell of chicken had become a hallucination with subtitles. Shenro crouched in front of me, close enough that her perfume punched through the cafeteria grease. She poked my cheek twice like I was dough. "Ow," I blurted. Shen's brows drew together. "You're not allowed to be skinnier than me," she said, voice low and furious, like I had broken a personal rule of the universe. I stared. "What?" Her hand snapped up, and for a split second the comments in my vision exploded. "Slap incoming. Yes, give her the smackdown. Ugh. Villainous energy." Shen did not slap me. She grabbed a platter from the grill station. Someone had set it down momentarily, and shoved a lacquered chicken thigh toward my face. "Eat," she ordered. The thigh was hot enough that steam curled between us. The smell hit my brain like a memory I didn't deserve. I started. Shen's fingers pressed at my jaw with the mechanical confidence of someone used to controlling bodies in sparring matches. "Open," she commanded. My mouth opened because my body betrayed my pride. The chicken thigh went in. Sauce hit my tongue. Salt and sweetness and fat lit up every nerve in my head. I made an involuntary sound that might have been a sob. The comment window went silent for half a heartbeat, as if the invisible audience had lost the script. Then, "Wait, she's feeding her? Is this bullying?" That's not how villainesses work. Why is this cute? Shen shoved a second thigh into my hands, then a third. Someone beside her, one of the row entourage, a girl with glossy nails, appeared with a tray stacked absurdly high. 10, Shen said, pointing at the pile like it was a punishment. You don't leave until you finish. I held the first thigh with trembling fingers. Are you threatening me with lunch? Shen's eyes narrowed. I'm threatening you with being alive, she snapped. Don't make me repeat myself. I looked down at the food, heat rising from it like an offering. My eyes stung. I hated my body for reacting, hated the way my tears came so easily when something felt kind. Shen's mouth curved with dark satisfaction, as if she thought my tears were fear. That's right, she said. Cry if you want. It won't save you from eating. I laughed and cried at the same time, which made a few students nearby turn in confusion. Shen stiffened, thrown off. You're weird, she said. I'm hungry, I corrected, and took a bite so big the sauce smeared my mouth. Shen watched me chew like a coach watching an athlete finally lift a weight correctly. When my hands stopped shaking enough to hold the bone steady, she glanced at my uniform. The sleeves were too short, the cuffs frayed, the fabric thin enough that the winter air found my skin. Her face twisted. Are you trying to show off your waist? She demanded. I'm trying to not freeze, I said. I just can't afford. Shut up, Shen cut in. She yanked off her own down jacket, white, plush, definitely real, and draped it over my shoulders. The warmth swallowed me. It smelled like clean laundry and something expensive I couldn't name. Don't take it off, she warned. Zip it up. You're going to look like a bear. I pulled the zipper up to my chin because the heat made me dizzy. Why are you doing this? I asked, voice small. Shen looked away fast, as if the question embarrassed her. Because, she said, if you keep shrinking, people will look at me and think I'm the fat one. I refuse. The comment window erupted again. She's keeping the heroine alive out of vanity? This is the most chaotic villainess I've ever seen. Where is the male lead? Forget him. I ship these two. I blinked at the last line. Ship? I whispered to nobody. Shen glared. Stop mumbling, she said. Eat. That was my first day of being fed by my enemy. It became a pattern. Every lunch after that, Shenro found me. Sometimes she appeared like a storm at the end of the line, snatching my tray away and replacing it with something heavy and hot. Sometimes she cornered me between the beverage coolers and the napkin station and shoved a protein bar into my pocket like she was bribing me to exist. Once, she left a bag of groceries in my locker: rice, eggs, soup packets, and a jar of expensive honey, with a note that simply said, "You better not pass out in my school." The comment window followed her like glitter. It followed me too. At first I thought I was hallucinating from malnutrition. Then I tried ignoring it. The words did not care. They appeared during class, at the bus stop, even in the cracked mirror above my bathroom sink. Episode 2. The Heiress claims her territory. Episode 3. The heroine's tragic past revealed. Episode 4. Male lead arrives to rescue her. The male lead, according to the comments, was Kieran Vale, the student council president, the scholarship poster boy, the kind of handsome that looked carefully curated. He walked past me one day in the hallway, eyes sliding over my borrowed jacket, and the comment window screamed, "There he is. He's gonna fall for her because she's pure and suffering. Villainess will go crazy." Kieran did not fall for me. He asked me if I could tutor him in calculus because he was swamped with leadership obligations. I stared at him for 3 seconds, and then realized he wasn't even being cruel. He simply assumed my time was available for purchase. "I'm swamped with survival obligations," I said, and walked away. The comment window stuttered. "She rejected the male lead? That's illegal. Wait, that's kind of hot." Meanwhile, Shenro scowled at Kieran like he was a bug on her shoe. When I asked her why she cared, she flicked my forehead with 2 fingers. "Because he's annoying," she said. "That's it?" I pressed. Shen's jaw tightened. "And because he thinks he's the main character," she added. And there was something in her voice that sounded like personal hatred for scripts. I should explain. By script, I mean the sensation that my life had been hijacked by an invisible audience that wanted my pain to look pretty. The comment window didn't just narrate. It demanded. It praised my suffering and criticized my anger. It begged for me to be rescued and got irritated when I tried to rescue myself. When I stayed late at school cleaning the library in exchange for small cash, the comments called it tragic. When I smiled at a joke, They called it unrealistic. When I flinched at a sudden sound, they cheered like it was a dramatic beat. Sometimes I wanted to scream at the air, "I am not entertainment." Instead, I swallowed it. The way I swallowed hunger. The way my mother swallowed pain. My mother, Mina Park, worked until her hands shook. She had once been softer, I think. I only remembered her as thin and determined, her hair always tied back because there was no time for vanity. She had run from my father when I was 10, carrying me on her back across the freight yard roads, whispering the same sentence into my ear over and over like prayer. "Don't be afraid. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up." In the comment window's preferred version of my life, she would have abandoned me for maximum tragedy. The window was constantly disappointed that she hadn't. The mom is supposed to leave. How will the male lead save the heroine if she has family? Plot is broken. My mother didn't care about plot. My mother cared about rent and pills and whether the heater would last another week. The winter meridian year, I met Shen Ro. My mother started coughing blood. At first she hid it. She wiped her mouth and smiled and said it was the cold air. Then one night she collapsed in the doorway, groceries spilling, and I realized the truth. She was running out of body. I took her to the public hospital, where the fluorescent lights made everyone look like ghosts. The doctor's voice was kind, which made it worse. "Late stage," he said. "We can manage symptoms. But money," my mother finished, and smiled at me like she was apologizing. I wanted to punch the wall and the comment window at the same time. Here we go, the tragic backstory. This will make the male lead fall harder. Cry more, heroine. Cry more. I did not cry in front of the doctor. I waited until we were outside, until my mother leaned on my shoulder like she weighed nothing, until the cold wind hit my face and reminded me I was alive. Then I cried until my chest hurt. The next day at school, Shen Ro noticed my swollen eyes and did something I didn't expect. She didn't ask questions in a gentle voice. She didn't offer pity. Shen Ro did not know how to be soft. She grabbed my wrist, dragged me into an empty stairwell, and said, "What happened? Tell me." Her grip was not painful, but it was certain, like she had decided I was her responsibility and would not allow me to slip out of her hand. "My mom is sick," I said, voice breaking on the word mom, because it felt dangerous to say out loud. Shen stared at me, then cursed quietly. She reached into her bag, pulled out a card, and shoved it at me. It was black with embossed silver letters. Roe Clinical Foundation. There was a number on the back. "Call this," she said. "I can't," I whispered. "They'll ask for my name," Shen cut in. "Use it. I'm giving you permission." I stared at the card like it was a grenade. "Why?" I asked. Shen's eyes flashed. "Because if your mother dies," she said, voice low and furious, "the comment window will clap, and I'm sick of giving strangers what they want." I froze. "You," I started. "You see it too?" Shen's expression tightened. For a moment she looked young, truly young, like a kid who had been forced to act like an adult for too long. "I've seen it since middle school," she admitted. At first I thought it was stress. Then I realized it reacts. It rewards pain. It wants us to be tropes. I swallowed. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Shen snorted. "Who would believe the evil heiresses?" she said. "Besides, the window doesn't show up on cameras. It's private, like a curse." The comment window, hearing itself mentioned, went wild. "Oh my God, they both see it. That means Villainous is self-aware. This is turning into a genre shift." Shen jerked her head as if swatting a fly. "Ignore it," she said. "I can't do that," I whispered. "Yes, you can," Shen said. "Watch." She stepped closer, stared into empty air, and said in a clear, steady voice, "No." The words in my vision flickered. "What?" "She can't say that. The script." Error. For a second, the comment window went blank. Then it came back, angry and frantic, lines stacking in red. "Don't break the story. The male lead needs to save her. Villainous is ruining the romance." Shen's mouth curled. "Good," she said. "Let it be mad." I stared at her, heart pounding. Something inside me moved, a small, stubborn piece of my soul that had been curled up for years to conserve energy. Maybe the story wasn't a prison. Maybe it was a bully, and maybe bullies could be hit. The first punch we threw was small, food. Shen insisted on supervising my meals like a drill sergeant. She followed me to the cafeteria, forced me to eat until my hands stopped trembling, and then scolded me for apologizing for existing. "Stop saying sorry," she snapped one day as I tried to return her jacket. "You're lending me expensive stuff," I said. "I don't want to." "You don't want to owe me?" Shen finished, eyes narrowing. "Fine. Pay me back." "How?" I asked. Shen's lips twitched. "Get stronger," she said, "so nobody can touch you again." That was how I ended up in the kickboxing room after school. Staring at a row of heavy bags like they were taller than my entire life, Shen tossed me gloves. "Put them on." "I've never," I started. "Everyone's never," Shen interrupted. "Then they do." I slipped my hands into the gloves. They smelled like leather and sweat and ambition. Shen wrapped my wrists with tape, fingers deft and firm. "Your hands are cold," she said. "I'm always cold," I admitted. Shen's jaw set. "Not anymore," she declared, as if she could order my body into warmth by force. She taught me stance, breathing, how to keep my chin down and my eyes up. She corrected my form with taps to my elbow and shoulder. She didn't coddle. She didn't flirt. She didn't call it empowerment. Shenro simply treated my survival like a skill worth training. The comment window hated it. Heroine isn't supposed to learn to fight. It ruins the rescue fantasy. Why is the villainess acting like a mentor? This is Yuri bait. Yuri? I whispered once, distracted. Shen paused mid-demonstration. "Stop reading the window," she said. "It's poison." "Easy for you to say," I muttered. "You're not the one it calls White Lotus." Shen's eyes sharpened. "You think that's a compliment?" she asked. I hesitated. Shen punched the heavy bag, hard. The sound echoed like a verdict. "They call you pure because they want you weak," she said. "If you're pure, you can't be angry. If you're pure, you have to forgive. If you're pure, you can be owned." My throat tightened. "And they call you evil," I said softly. Shen laughed without humor. "They call me evil because I refuse to be owned," she said. For the first time, I saw the outline of her loneliness. We trained for weeks. I got bruises. I got calluses. I started eating breakfast without bargaining with my guilt. My body, which had always been a debt, began to feel like a home I could repair. Then winter break came, and Shen flew to London with her family for a board retreat. She acted annoyed about leaving, which was her version of affection. "Don't skip meals," she ordered before she left. "I won't," I promised. The comment window wrote in glittering font, "Mid-season tragedy incoming." I wanted to spit at it. 2 days after Shen left, my father found us. He appeared outside the apartment complex like a ghost from a past I had tried to bury. He smelled like alcohol and wet street. His eyes, always too sharp, scanned my face like he was looking for the girl he could control. "Mina's little mistake," he said, smiling. My stomach turned. "Don't call me that," I said. He stepped closer, and the comment window lit up like a festival. "Dad arc. Abuse reveal time. Male lead will save her, right?" My father laughed. "Still got that mouth," he said. "Your mother teach you that? Or did you learn it in your fancy school?" "What do you want?" I demanded. He held out his hand. "Money," he said simply. "The scholarship money. The charity money. You owe me. You're my kid." I felt heat rise in my throat, fierce and bitter. "I don't owe you anything," I said. He slapped me. The sound cracked in the cold air, sharp enough that my ears rang. My cheek burned. My eyes watered. The comment window pulsed with glee. Yes, pain. Now she's truly tragic. Here comes the rescue. I tasted blood and rage. My father reached for my bag, yanking it off my shoulder, spilling my mother's medicine into the dirty snow. "See," he said, voice smug, "you're nothing without me." I saw my mother inside the apartment window, trying to stand, face pale, hands shaking. I saw the panic in her eyes. Something in me snapped. I grabbed my father's wrist, twisted the way Shen had taught me, and stepped into him, using my whole body instead of just my arms. He gasped, surprised. Men like him are always surprised when girls bite back. "Let go," he hissed. "Pick up the pills," I said, voice low and shaking. "Now." His eyes went ugly. He jerked free and kicked my stomach hard enough that the air left my lungs. I folded, pain exploding. My knees hit the snow. My father leaned down, breath hot and sour. "You think you're tough?" he sneered. "You're just a girl." I reached into my coat pocket with numb fingers. There was a strap there, a homemade weapon my mother and I had built after Shen insisted I needed something for emergencies. An old seatbelt wrapped in thick cloth, weighted with metal beads sewn into the end. It was ugly, simple, and terrifying in the way true tools are. My mother had whispered while we stitched it. Hurt, not kill. Fast, not slow. Live, not forgive. I pulled the strap out. My father's eyes widened. "What is that?" He spat. "Consequences," I said. I swung. The strap snapped through the air and struck his forearm with a sound like a broken branch. He screamed, stumbling back. I swung again, aiming for his thigh. He fell to his knees in the slush, face contorting with disbelief. The comment window exploded. Outraged. "No, the heroine can't do that. She's supposed to be helpless. Male lead didn't arrive yet. She's ruined her likability." I swung a third time, and my father's phone flew out of his hand, skidding across the snow and cracking. "Stop!" he howled. "You crazy. I'm alive," I said, panting. "That's all." Behind me, my mother's weak voice called my name. I turned and ran to her, leaving my father curled in the snow, moaning like a man who had finally met a world that didn't bend for him. Inside, my mother collapsed on the couch. Her face was gray. Her breathing sounded wrong, shallow and hitching. "Mom," I whispered, kneeling. "I'm here. I got the pills." Her hand fumbled for mine, cold and trembling. "My girl," she breathed. "My brave girl." I tried to smile. I tried to tell her we were safe now. I tried to believe it. The comment window hovered over her head. Sickly sweet. The mother must die to complete the heroine's growth. This will push her into the male lead's arms. Prepare tissues. I wanted to tear my eyes out. My mother squeezed my fingers. "Promise me," she whispered. "Anything," I said. "Promise me you won't beg for love," she said. "Promise me you'll never trade your life for someone's attention." My throat burned. "I promise," I whispered. She exhaled, long and thin. "Good," she said softly, with a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "Then my sky can fall. You'll still stand." And then her hand went heavy in mine, the warmth leaving like the last ember of a fire. I did not scream. I did not faint. I sat very still, because my body refused to accept what my mind understood. Outside, somewhere in the city, fireworks were testing for New Year's. Pop, 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 like the world practicing joy while mine collapsed. The comment window went quiet. Even it seemed uncertain how to perform grief. The next days were a blur of paperwork and cheap funeral flowers and a neighbor who held my shoulders while I signed forms. I went to school because routines are the only thing that keep you from floating away. I wore Shen's jacket because I didn't have anything else warm enough. Kieran Vale approached me in the hallway, eyes wide, and said, "I heard about your mom. I'm so sorry." His voice was sincere, but his sincerity felt like a cup of water thrown at a burning building. "Thank you," I said, polite. He hesitated. "If you need anything," he began, then glanced around like he was worried someone would see him being kind to a poor girl. "I can talk to the school board. We can arrange." "Can you arrange that she lives?" I asked quietly. Kieran flinched. "No," he admitted. "Then please stop using my grief as a way to feel heroic," I said, and walked away. The comment window tried to defend him. "He's trying. She's so harsh. She should accept his comfort." I felt nothing but fatigue. Shen returned 4 days later. I didn't know she was back until I heard a knock on my apartment door, sharp and urgent. When I opened it, Shen stood in the hallway with hair hastily tied back, coat half-buttoned, her expensive composure cracked at the edges. She looked at my face, then at the folded funeral cloth on the table, then at the black ribbon on my wrist. Her breath caught. "No," she said. I couldn't answer. My mouth opened, but no sound came. Shen stepped inside without asking permission, like she always did when she cared. Her eyes were red, and I realized with shock that Shenro looked like she had been crying. "I left," she said, voice rough. "I left, and the world did this while I was gone." "It's not your fault," I whispered. Shen's jaw clenched. "I hate that you have to say that," she snapped. "You shouldn't have to comfort anyone." She looked around the small apartment, at the thin blanket on the couch, at the medicine bottles lined up like soldiers who had lost their war. "Where is he?" she asked, voice turning cold. "My father?" I asked. Shen nodded once, eyes bright with fury. He's gone, I said. He ran. Shen's nostrils flared. He doesn't get to run, she said. I reached for her sleeve. Shen, I whispered. Don't. She froze at the sound of her name from my mouth, as if it anchored her. I swallowed. Just stay, I said. That's enough. Shen stared at me, then exhaled slowly, as if forcing herself to obey. I'm here, she said. I'm not leaving again. I believed her more than I believed any script. That night, we sat on the floor of my apartment, backs against the wall, sharing instant noodles. Shen ate like she was punishing the world for being unfair. I ate because my mother would have smacked me for refusing. The comment window floated above us, uncertain. Is this friendship? Romance? Where is the triangle? The male lead is being ignored. Shen glanced at my phone, where a notification pinged from an app I didn't remember installing. Storyline Live. When I tapped it, the screen glitched, and for a moment the same comments I saw in the air appeared in a scrolling feed. My skin prickled. This is real? I whispered. Shen leaned closer, eyes narrowing. I knew it, she said. It's not just in our heads. The app pulsed with a prompt. Rate the heroine's suffering. 1 to 5 stars. I felt my stomach twist. People are watching, I said. Shen's face hardened. Then we change what they see, she said. How? I asked. Shen's mouth tilted. By becoming unmarketable, she said. She made me laugh despite everything, which felt like treason against grief. We started small. The next day at school, Shen walked into the cafeteria holding my hand. Not a gentle, tentative handhold like couples in dramas. A firm grip, like a vow. The room went silent. Kieran Vale nearly choked on his drink. The comment window exploded into chaos. What is this? This is not canon. The male lead is right there. Villainess stole the heroine. I'm screaming. Shen lifted her chin and said loudly, to no one and everyone, if anyone touches her again, I'll make you regret it. Then she turned to me and added, softer, eat. I ate. That was how I learned that defiance can be built from ordinary actions. Chewing, walking, holding hands, saying no, but the story fought back. A week later, in a narrow alley behind the school where students smoked and traded exam answers, 3 boys cornered me. They weren't strangers. They were rich kids with the lazy cruelty of people who had never been held accountable. One of them, bleached hair, smug grin blocked the exit. Hey, scholarship princess, he said. Your mom gone now? You need a new provider? The comment window flared. Assault arc incoming. Male lead saves her. Villainous is absent perfect timing. My skin went cold. The boy reached for my collar. I stepped back, heart pounding, and my fingers closed around the strap in my pocket. He laughed. Don't act tough, he said. You're famous now. Everyone's watching. That sentence made my blood turn. Who is watching? I demanded. He leaned close. The app, he whispered. Storyline Live. My sister told me. You're a trending plot. Rage flooded me, thick and hot. I'm not your plot, I said. He grabbed my wrist. I swung the strap. The weighted end struck his cheek. He yelped, shock bright in his eyes. I swung again, harder, aiming for his shoulder. He stumbled back, cursing. The other boys surged forward. A voice snapped from the alley entrance, sharp as thunder. Back off. Shenro stood there, hair loose, eyes burning, her fists already taped. Behind her, 2 of her kickboxing teammates lingered like wolves. The boys froze. Shen, the blonde boy stammered. We were just... Shen crossed the distance in 3 steps and slapped him. Once, twice. The sound echoed off brick. Her palm reddened. You're making my hand hurt, she said coldly. Apologize. The boy's face went pale. Sorry, he whispered. Louder, Shen ordered. I'm sorry, he shouted, voice cracking. Shen turned to the other boys, her gaze scanning them like targets. They backed away without being touched. Sometimes reputation is a weapon, and Shen's reputation was built from years of refusing to be small. The comment window went feral. The villainess took the rescue scene again. Male lead is useless. This is not satisfying. Actually, this is satisfying. Kieran Vale arrived at the alley entrance late, breathing hard, eyes wide. He took one look at the strap in my hand, at the bruises blooming on the blonde boy's face, and his expression shifted from concern to fear. "You," he began, voice tight. "You attacked them?" "They attacked her," Shen said, stepping between Kieran and me like a shield. Kieran's gaze darted to me, unsettled. "That's dangerous," he said. "I know," I replied, voice steady. "That's why I did it," Kieran swallowed. "I thought you were different," he said, as if my survival had ruined his fantasy. "Different from what?" I asked. "Different from alive?" He didn't answer. He left, fast, as if running away could preserve his idea of me. The comment window tried to scold me for scaring him. I felt nothing but relief. That night, Shen sat beside me on my apartment floor and examined the bruise on my wrist, where the boy had grabbed me. Her fingers hovered, careful. "Does it hurt?" she asked. "Yes," I admitted. Shen's eyes flashed with something sharp. "Good," she said at last, and meant it. "Pain teaches you where the world tries to own you." I stared at her. "That's a horrible lesson," I said. "It's the only one this city offers for free," Shen replied. Then her voice softened, unexpectedly. "But I can teach you a better one too." "What?" I asked. Shen looked down at her hands. "How to want," she said quietly. "Not what the window wants. What you want." The words landed in my chest like a small, warm stone. I didn't know how to answer, so I did the only honest thing. I leaned my head against her shoulder. Shen went still, then relaxed, and after a moment she rested her cheek against my hair like she had been waiting for permission. The comment window, for once, didn't know what to say. Spring arrived like a delayed apology. Meridian announced a citywide academic decathlon. Scholarships, internships, media coverage, the kind of spotlight that could change a life if the story didn't swallow you first. I entered because I needed the prize money and because my mother's voice still lived in my bones, telling me to keep moving. The comment window celebrated. The heroine's rise. She will win because she is pure. Male lead will confess at the award ceremony. Shen rolled her eyes. "Win because you're smart," she said. "Not because you're pure." I studied until my brain felt like it had been wrung out. Shen sat beside me, forcing me to eat, forcing me to sleep, forcing me to laugh at least once a day like it was medicine. At the same time, Shen discovered something about herself that the window hadn't predicted. She could sing. It started as a joke. We were on the rooftop of my apartment building, looking at the river lights, when Shen hummed under her breath an old pop song from her childhood. Her voice was low and smooth, surprising in the quiet night. I stared at her, bewildered. "Do that again," I said. Shen frowned. "Why?" she asked. "Because it sounded like someone finally breathing," I said. Shen scoffed, embarrassed. "I'm not a singer," she said. "I'm a fighter." "You can be both," I replied. The comment window tried to label it. Villainous redemption arc. Becoming an idol? This is side character behavior. She's supposed to lose. Shen looked at the floating words and said, "Watch me." She trained her voice like she trained her body. With stubborn discipline, she hired a vocal coach, secretly. At first, because Rowe Industries expected her to study business and marry someone useful. She practiced scales between sparring rounds. She recorded herself on cheap headphones and grimaced at every flaw. Then she posted a clip online under a fake account. Just to test. The internet loved her. The comment window cracked. Why do people like the villainess? She's stealing screen time. The male lead is fading. Good. A month later, a youth music competition invited Shen to audition. Shen stared at the invitation like it was an enemy. "I can't," she said. "Yes, you can," I said. Shen looked at me, eyes searching. "If I do this," she said slowly, "my family will be furious." "Let them," I said. "They're not the ones who have to live in your skin." Shen's throat moved. "Liane," she said softly, as if testing the sound. "If I do this, will you come?" "I'll be there," I promised. And I was. At the audition hall, Shen wore a simple black dress, no designer labels, hair tied back, hands trembling slightly. She looked like someone trying to exist without armor. When she stepped onto the stage, the crowd murmured. People recognized her. The heiress, the fighter, the girl rumored to bully the scholarship kid. The comment window buzzed. "This is where she humiliates herself. She'll fail. She deserves it." Shen lifted the microphone, looked at me in the front row, and smiled. A small, real smile that the cameras didn't know how to frame. Then she sang. Her voice cut through the room, clean and fierce, carrying grief and defiance like twin flames. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and honesty is louder than polish. The crowd went silent. Then applause crashed down like rain. The comment window stuttered, then rearranged itself. Confused. She's good? Why is this moving? I didn't plan to cry. Shen advanced to the next round, then the next, then the finals. Meanwhile, I competed in the academic decathlon, and for the first time in my life, winning didn't feel like begging. It felt like claiming. At the award ceremony, Kieran Vale approached me again, cameras hovering. He smiled the careful smile of someone who loves narratives more than people. "You're inspiring," he said into a microphone. "Your tragedy, your resilience." "It's not content," I said, cutting him off. His smile faltered. I looked straight at the cameras. "My mother was not a plot device," I said. "My life is not a redemption arc for anyone else. If you want a story, write your own." The room went dead silent. The comment window screamed in horror, red text flooding my vision. "She broke the fourth wall! Dislike! Cancel!" This is powerful. Shen stood at the side of the stage, watching me with pride that looked like a weapon. After the ceremony, she pulled me into a quiet corner and said, "You were terrifying." "Good," I said. Shen laughed, and the sound felt like spring. The finals night of Shen's competition arrived on the same week I took my autonomous university entrance exam. Shen couldn't sit beside me in the exam hall. She had rehearsals, interviews, wardrobe fittings. We were both being pulled by futures that felt too big. The comment window tried to force a choice. Heroine must sacrifice her exam to support villainess. True friendship requires self-abandonment. Male lead will comfort her. I ignored it. Shen called me the night before my exam. Her voice was hoarse from rehearsal. "Are you scared?" she asked. "Yes," I admitted quietly. "Good," Shen said, in a voice that finally stopped performing. "Fear means it matters." I laughed softly. "Are you scared?" I asked. Shen exhaled. "Terrified," she said. "But it's my terror, not the windows." After a pause, she added, "Promise me you'll eat breakfast." "I will," I said. "And promise me," she continued, voice lower, "that if your father shows up again, you won't face him alone." "I promise," I said, though my stomach tightened. The next morning, I ate breakfast. I took my exam. I emerged dizzy and alive, and then my phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Go home. Your sky is falling." My blood went cold. I ran. When I reached my apartment building, police lights flashed in the alley. Neighbors stood clustered, whispering. I shoved through, heart hammering. My father was on the ground, hands cuffed, face bloodied. His eyes found mine, full of venom. "She's dead," he spat. My body froze. "Who?" I whispered. He laughed, a sound like rust. "Your mother," he said. "Oh, wait. She already was. So who am I talking about?" "Your little heiress friend. I found her number. I found her schedule. I can ruin anything you love." I felt my vision blur, not from tears, but from rage so thick it made me dizzy. The comment window flashed in manic excitement. Climax. The villainess will be sacrificed to deepen heroine's arc. Male lead will comfort her. Tears, tears, tears. "No," I whispered. A paramedic approached. "Are you Mina Park's daughter?" he asked gently. "We need you to identify." "No," I repeated, louder. "To him, to my father, to the window, to the universe." A voice cut through the crowd, furious and breathless. "Mina." Shenro pushed through the neighbors, hair messy, coat thrown on over a rehearsal dress. Her eyes were wild, alive. I stared at her. "You're," I choked. "Fine," she snapped. "I'm fine." Behind her, a security driver hovered, apologizing. Miss Rowe insisted. Shen ignored him. She grabbed my shoulders. "Your father tried to show up at the studio," she said quickly. Security stopped him. He got angry. He ran here instead. I followed. My knees went weak. Relief hit so hard I almost collapsed. My father screamed from the ground. "You think she cares?" he shouted. She'll leave when she's bored. Shen turned, eyes blazing. She walked toward my father like she was entering a ring. Listen, Shen said, voice cold. I'm not bored. I'm furious. And you don't get to speak about her again. The police officer tugged her back gently. Ma'am, he's restrained, he said. Shen's hands shook. She didn't fight the officer, but she glared at my father like she could set him on fire with willpower alone. I stepped closer, the strap heavy in my pocket, and looked at my father. You can't ruin what I love, I said, voice steady, because what I love isn't yours to touch. My father's eyes narrowed. You're nothing, he hissed. I leaned down, close enough that he could see I wasn't afraid anymore. I'm the girl you couldn't sell, I said. I'm the sky you couldn't crush. The comment window flickered, then slowly, as if reluctantly, changed tone. She's not helpless. This isn't a rescue story. This is a revolt. Shen reached for my hand again. Her grip was tight. Come on, she said. You're coming with me. To where? I asked, dazed. Shen's mouth set. To the finals, she said. You promised you'd be there. I started. My exam. Done. Shen snapped. Now it's my turn. And you don't get to abandon yourself for my sake either. The comment window tried to protest. Shen didn't let it. We arrived at the concert hall in time for Shen's final performance. Backstage, she paced like a caged tiger, shaking out her hands, rolling her shoulders. She looked at herself in the mirror, eyes hard. I hate this dress, she muttered. You look like a star, I said. Shen scoffed. Stars die, she replied. Stars also guide people home, I said. Shen paused, expression softening for half a second. Don't say things like that, she muttered, but her voice trembled like she wanted to believe it. The host announced her name. The crowd roared. The comment window for the first time was split. I want her to win. She's still the villainess. The heroine should be the center. Maybe the center is whoever refuses to disappear. Shen stepped onto the stage. She didn't sing the song her producers wanted. She sang an original piece, one she had written in secret, a melody that climbed like a fist through fog. The lyrics weren't about a boy or a confession or a love triangle. They were about a girl who thought she existed only to be watched, and a second girl who grabbed her by the collar and said, "Live." When the chorus hit, Shen looked straight at me and said into the microphone, "This song is for the person who taught me that I don't have to chase someone else's storyline." The crowd cheered, but the comment window screamed, "She's confessing to the heroine! This is Yuri confirmation. The male lead is finished. Good riddance." Kieran Vale, somewhere in the audience, stood up, face flushed with humiliation. He started to clap, realized no one cared, and sat back down. The world moved on without him. Shen finished the song on a note so clear it felt like cutting a rope. The hall went silent for a beat, as if everyone was stunned by their own feelings. Then applause exploded, bigger than anything I had ever heard. Shen won. The trophy glittered in her hands like a dare. After the show, in the quiet of the backstage hallway, Shen leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. "I did it," she whispered, voice breaking. "You did," I said. Shen opened her eyes, wet and furious. "Why does it feel like I'm about to fall apart?" she asked. "Because you stopped holding yourself together for other people," I said. Shen laughed shakily. "You're terrifying," she repeated. "I learned from you," I said. For a moment, we just breathed. Then Shen reached out, hesitated, and brushed her thumb under my eye where a tear had slipped without me noticing. "Don't cry," she murmured. "I'm not crying for the window," I whispered. "I'm crying because my mother would have loved your song." Shen's face tightened. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know," I replied. "That's why it matters." Months passed. My exam results arrived. I scored first in the district, high enough to earn a full scholarship to a university outside the city, far from Harbor District, far from my father's shadow. The acceptance email felt unreal, like a door opening in a wall I had always assumed was solid. The comment window tried to claim it. The heroine earned her happy ending. Now she can marry the male lead. Wait, he's gone. Who is the male lead now? I looked at Shen, who was on a video call from a rehearsal room, hair messy, voice warm. "There doesn't have to be one," I said aloud. Shen blinked. "What?" she asked. "Nothing," I said, smiling. Just telling a ghost to shut up. Shen laughed. Good, she said, almost relieved. We moved into a small apartment near my university. Not because we were running away together in a dramatic montage, but because we were tired of the city deciding what closeness meant. Shen's family tried to bribe her back with contracts and threats. She refused. The headlines called it scandal. The comment window called it ship endgame. We called it Tuesday. On the first tet after my mother's death, I went to the cemetery with a bouquet of white chrysanthemums. The morning was quiet, the grass damp, the air thin and clean. Shen arrived 10 minutes later, wearing a plain black coat, hair tied back, holding her own bouquet. She didn't ask permission. She never did when she cared. We cleaned the headstone together. I traced the carved letters with my fingertips until my throat tightened. Happy birthday, Mom, I whispered. I found someone good. Don't worry. Shen slipped her arm around my shoulders. Auntie, she said softly, I'll watch her for the rest of my life. I looked at Shen, and suddenly the emotion hit me like a wave, hot and unstoppable. Thank you, I whispered. Shen rolled her eyes, pretending to be annoyed. Don't do that, she muttered. If you get sentimental, I'll have to punch something. I laughed through tears. Punch the comment window, I suggested. Shen stared into empty air, as if seeing the same floating words I did. Gladly, she said. The comment window appeared, quiet, almost timid. Are you happy? For once, it wasn't a demand. It was a question. I considered it. My grief was still there. A stone in my chest, my fear still visited at night. The world was still unfair, and my father's shadow still existed somewhere. But I was not starving. I was not alone. I was not waiting for rescue. I squeezed Shen's hand and answered the air, clearly, like a verdict. Yes, I said, and you don't get to rate it. The words flickered. Then, slowly, the comment window dimmed, as if it had finally realized it could not survive without my permission. Shen leaned closer. What did it say? She asked. I smiled, watching the pale winter sun slide across the cemetery stones like a gentle hand. It asked if I was happy, I said. Shen huffed. Took it long enough, she said. We left flowers for my mother, then walked down the path together. The city waited beyond the cemetery gates, loud and hungry, but I walked with my chin up. If the sky fell again, I would hold it up with my own hands. And if the story tried to turn my life into entertainment, I would